Okay, folks, welcome back. Let's get everything in order over here. Okay. All right. Still not in the right place here. Here we go. Let's try it. Let's try this. There we go. Okay, so let's make sure the super readers are here. We're going to need those. So we've got the two vehicles that we modified and cut up and stripped. Of course, every time you strip them, there's stuff you got to pull off of them. It's these two Mini Coopers. And I've already rinsed them outside. There's still going to be some vestiges of paint. You know, all this like stuff that's left on here. Not too worried about the inside, but do need to take stuff like this little bit of stuff off. And these things have a fairly good amount of detail on them. It's funny how they kind of turn kind of like pewter gray. This is the van that we cut the actual top of it off. And there's actually a fair amount of detail that's in the bottom section. But we need to remove the rest of these vestiges of this paint on here. And I may decide the other ones I'm just gonna spray paint over them, but you know, the problem with spray painting over them is they're a really glossy finish to begin with. So the primer is going to have not a great time sticking onto that. Whereas this is just like a rough enough of a surface. The paint's going to stick onto this like great. Let me try doing one thing. Especially since I have this handy. Well, it used to be handy. Maybe one down from that. And it varies. Some things I don't remember. I ended up stripping the paint off of one thing one time and it had so much detail on it. It was like I was floored. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember if it was a tank or I'm pretty sure it was a car. Of course, if you got one that's made out of plastic parts, you got to use another method because this doesn't work on plastic really well. Now, we have some areas here that we're probably going to use some sprue glue because cutting this was a little tricky. Having to use a cutting wheel, I kind of had to overcut it. And, you know, we could put a little thin piece of card or something and close that up. But I want to get the rest of this paint. We'll assemble this and show you what we're dealing with here. Yeah, really pretty good little model there. This is that Austin van, which I guess is who used to make Mini Cooper before. It was like a 1960s Mini Cooper, 70s, something like that. And here's the Volkswagen Beetle version of it, I guess. Of course, we're going to modify these, and then we'll paint them all at once. They'll be primer black, and this one's going to be British Racing Green, or at least mostly British Racing Green. I've got black green is probably the base I'm going to use for it. Vallejo black green. Anyhow, I promised I'd be on this evening, so I'm on this evening. Early evening, late afternoon. This is where it got stuck, most of it. And these crevices back here. This team, well, I'm going to make my own teams because the storyline in the game sucks. Sorry, if you like it, well, that's on you, but it's definitely the weak point of the game. I don't like this whole talk about Mars and all this kind of stuff. It's just nonsense. This is going to be Cruel Britannia. So these are going to be like a bunch of punk rocker type guys, you know, like the punk guys from like the early 80s, you know, like when you were younger. You know, oi and all that. I don't want to, you know, spray every one of them black, put all this kind of armor on them where they all looks like the same damn vehicle. Like, go look at some people's stuff on there, and it's like, it could be, you know, a Corvette, it could be like a van, it could be like a Mustang, and they all look the same because you end up putting all these armor plates. You can't see the wheels and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, you know, I still want them to have the individuality of what vehicle they're based on. Now, obviously, the performance of these vehicles, like, I don't know what a horsepower in a Mini Cooper was originally. I suspect it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 80 horsepower. 80, under 100 horsepower, easily. And it might be even really, really low. And the Volkswagen Beetle had like 32 horsepower or some shit like that. Something terrible. So the game treats something like this and, you know, something that looks, that in real life is a lot faster, significantly different. But we're going to have to learn how to play the game again, which, you know, we've played the game 6 or 7 times. It's not that difficult. There's a lot of the game that I like as is. But the teams is something, like, we never played with sponsors. Because the sponsors were just silly, slime, and, there's a ghost one, and I'm like, I didn't really like the direction I was heading, but really, you could do whatever the hell you want, It's not like I'm going to run it to the convention or anything. Yes, we will film the games. Let's grab the pieces parts to this, to these two. And I'll show you why I wanted to cut up the top to this. Because a lot of these, I'm telling you, they're kids' toys, and they really shouldn't be. They've got some really good detail in them. Here is the back of this van right here. And it's got like a spare tire and looks like a jack and everything. It even has a steering wheel on the wrong side that you guys like over there. and some of that is visible at the top. So what we did is we cut this, which we're gonna have to. I tried to be careful cutting it, and I'm telling you, this is some dangerous activity. Okay, this is the Mini Cooper bottom. Okay, yeah, it got stuck, and I had to unstick it. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you can tell in here, but when I broke through, there's actually a drill bit stuck in this one, so I had to get creative. But the show must go on. I'm going to show you what it looks like without the glass in there. This should be the base for it. I don't enjoy the drilling out part. It is damn near dangerous. Anyway, and I may put the same wheels in, I may not. I took this 50 caliber, which is from the armored car. The M8 armored car. And I may switch out the wheels. Let's use this one that's not. For ones that are knobbier looking. And then we got somebody like who's this bald bastard? Yes. Bald bastard like this. Back here firing this. I may have to lift him up a little bit. But something like that, and obviously we're going to have armor plates and stuff like that. This one has back seats and everything. I don't know that I want to put glass because I want to be able to see that, all that stuff in there. I mean, you have really good detail. Yeah, I had to strong arm this one. And they're the same wheels on there. I don't know if there's a commonality to the wheel width on these. I got something here that's knobby. It may not be worth messing with. It's not worth messing with. Yeah, where's the parts here? aren't going to be on any bases. And I'm having trouble finding where I had this stuff at. What's up, Ben? Welcome back, Ben. Now it'll turn up. Isn't that the secret? Stop looking for something. And we did end up getting some super heavy duty drill bits. Only just two, because I lost one of them. It's stuck inside there. And instant screen repair stuff. I think that's the right. It is squares, isn't it? It's not rectangles. Shit, maybe rectangles. No, it's squares. It's aluminum. Charcoal colored aluminum. Be right back. I'm gonna go take some of my allergy pills here. I got this empty bin here. Let me, let's commandeer this for, let's get myself into trouble here. Let's see if there are any kind of wheels that I could switch out on these. Have these things take a heck of a lot less space up. These are completely smooth. As a matter of fact, the front ones, look how narrow the front wheels are on that. Very, very strange. We need to use this whole thing for, we're going to leave the stuff that's going to Africa together. Okay, some of these are already out of the packaging. All these are smooth. Something's got to have like... Those are too big. This is the Gorilla Mobile. Those are too big. You know, you got one that's small and then one that's large. You're not going to be able to get that underneath there. I don't need to use the axle on them because that's kind of irrelevant. They're not really meant to roll. Here's the spare parts. They're down here where they shouldn't be. Ford Ranchero. Yeah, this is... Yeah, see, this looks fine with on the tires that are on it. What if these are a priceless collectible? Well, they won't be when I'm done with them. They take up way too much space. All this extra packaging and shit. Yeah, stuff like this with these insane type of engines, that's like perfect for this. Yeah, this is slick. This is slick as crap. So if you don't strip this stuff down, you're gonna have a hell of a time with the stuff sticking to it. And the whole inside is chromed. I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? Ice charger. Okay, here's the lull. This has some tires that may work for one of these. Here's another. This is what this vehicle was. I used this in a battle one time, and I called it the Skunk Ape. Skunk Ape, for those of you guys that don't know, and there's no reason why you would know this. Skunk Ape is... Oh, here's a porta potty. See if they come off. Oh, yeah. Separate piece. Skunk Ape is basically the... I actually didn't know this. The Bigfoot of Florida. You know, a make-believe bullshit thing. So it's got an ape on it, so I'm like, okay, Skunk Ape. What was this? This was a truck middleweight, handling 2, maximum gear 4, whole points. And it had a mini turret on it. Okay, well, I'd like to build these kind of with what they look like. Police vehicle. Portaloo. I had never heard of Skunk Ape. And I live here, but, you know. Skunk Ape made it across the... I have 2 ice cream vans, so this one's fair game. Here's another. This is a great vehicle right here. This Volkswagen. Yeah, I had never heard of it before. Yeah, these are the Maisto Chinese one. This thing's beautiful. I love this green that it's in, but unfortunately it's going to have to get repainted. Alright. We're going to use this thing for garbage. Dodge Dart. Want a trading card? I mean, I have these. I won't buy them again. They're relatively expensive. I mean, if they're not $1 a piece, I'm not interested in having any. Oh, this thing only has the thing on one side. Interesting. I got these specifically for these extra parts, these cow catchers and things on there. I don't think I got this pickup truck. This is a little too civilized. I prefer my pickup trucks to be a little bit more ornery. And this set here, off-road guys, making the skunk part comes from levels of lower body funk a furry critter would generate on the floor in the summer. I have no idea. I have a feeling some of that comes, naming it comes from smoking some of that stuff in the woods. One of those. Is that a Volkswagen? Does Volkswagen make a truck? They don't hear this. They don't hear in the States. Volkswagen Saviro. I don't know. What vehicle is this? Like a make-believe Coyote? Coyote 500. Dune buggy. Yeah, it's a vehicle that pretty much only holds one person, yet it's longer than any of the other ones. This little thing. All right. That's going to do the recycling. All right. Now, just looking through these, I didn't see very many really with tire options. Which I know there's people that make aftermarket tires. We're not getting into that, okay? We're not buying a $1 vehicle and then spend $6 on the tires. That's, silly ass. So, even something like this. I just don't think they're going to fit in the wheel well. They may. I'm just going to leave well enough alone for that. All right. And this thing is asking definitely to have some kind of something done to it. Because, it's got nothing on it at all. It's got the nice engine, which you can see, which that's super handy, but. All right. This is going to go to the garage to over my drilling station. All right, where's the weapons? And I don't remember the name of the company it is that made these weapons, but there's several of them. These are one of the first ones that came. They were making them for their own game. And these are resin. They're pretty well detailed. But what I want to avoid is putting like a big rocket on this thing. If it's a vehicle that doesn't use rockets, you're running a lot of interference when you do stuff like that. Yeah, so this one's definitely going to have. What do you got in the machine gun department? I don't know why we have this. There's nothing left of that. Garbage. Yeah, this is all like resin stuff, and I've used some of them. It is a hell of a nice cannon. But there's no way that's a machine gun. That's something huge. Okay, I think this was the turret for the skunk ape. Plus, what we have that we couldn't find way back when. Of course, I may not be able to find it now. Nope. Another Range Rover. I'm surprised how few things were actually useful from the spare parts from Plastic Soldier Company. I went through them and I'm like, there's not that much useful stuff. I don't want to really use MG34s and stuff like that. That just looks just like out of place. No. As expected, I don't know where the hell I put it. I had a whole like bunch of tubing and stuff like that. Oh, my plastic card. There's all the wood bits. Man, there's a shitload of wood bits here. Lots of plastic card. Yeah, I don't know where the hell the tubing went. I had a whole thing of tubing that I hadn't used in forever. I'm like, oh, this will come in handy whenever I do the... You know, it's really frustrating not to be able to find things, considering how organized I am compared to some people in this hobby that I've seen. I see like freaking nightmare stories of people. Yeah. I don't know where the hell the tubing went. Oh well. Yeah, a lot of this stuff came with it. I don't remember what the name is. Auto, it was called Auto something or another. Oh, this one's garbage too. Bye-bye. And that's garbage too. Bye-bye. Big old speaker. Well, I was looking for something, and I did find that, and that was the decals here for the Soviet plane, and the instructions. I was looking for A, and I found Q. Typical. All right. I gotta look. I gotta find that tubing. I don't really want to. I don't feel like looking for it right now. So, what is this? Oh. So we're gonna work on something. So we already put decals on the American stuff. Let's put it on the Soviet plane. Now, what are they got here? We got two different ones. Summer 1942, Baltic Fleet. I don't really like these ones with little circles around them. So we're going to put the 30 decal like this one right here, even though it's not camouflage. And I have no idea how good these decals are. Oh, this doesn't have the decals on it. Well, that's weird that it wouldn't have them on the top. Is there only 2 options? Yeah. Well, the 4s go underneath, which is the small ones. It doesn't show the 5s. I'm still going to put them up there. Oh, because it has a red star here. Got it. Well, you know what? Let's do the bolt. Let's do the one that has the stars I said I didn't like. My experience with decals from Eastern Europe is they're pretty good. So we'll see if that still holds true. And these are the ones that go on the side of the vehicle. The ones, are they separate? They are. And by the way, these decals came out. I think dry brush over and won't even tell that they're there, which is what we want. We want them seen, not felt. Yeah, 14's on the tail over here. You guys played Gaslands before? Is there something you don't like about it? I went from basically like, oh, it doesn't, rules don't say that. We can't play them any other way to like, screw that. I'm not here to fix other people's problems just because they didn't play test stuff enough. We'll play it how we see fit. I don't know if these guys are going to release well. Of course, I don't know how long this model has been sitting in somebody's, wherever they've had it. Good afternoon, go for it. Yeah, that's not glued on by design. Let's see how we're doing now. All right, now we're moving. These little planes are maneuverable as hell in War Thunder. They actually look, they're a lot better than they look. They look like they would just be absolute trash. I think they're probably one of the best biplanes in the game. All right, and on the side is the red star. Shifted a little bit. Oh, that's still good. All right. Then we get the bottom of the wings here. Bottom of the wings are the small ones. We're going to go ahead and do them both. So we're going to come in here. All right, let me go get something else to drink. I'll be right back. And then we'll do the same thing with the Spitfire. Since we got this water here anyways. Nope, not yet. Decided not to put bombs on it. It didn't fit together half bad, but there was like no locator anythings on this thing. That was the biggest problem. Of course, it's something I picked up for $2, literally. The rear wheel's like a little ski. Not even a rear wheel. It's just a little board there for it to. Not a great design. Ooh. This is kind of starting to shatter. You have Gaslands, both editions. Yeah, we played the first one. They came up with the second one, and I don't think we ever played it when the second one came. I actually had a second one that has a copy of it that there's something wrong with it. I forget what it was. So I told him, hey, send me another copy. And like, just keep it. Don't send it back. So that one's at Mitch's house. I don't know what's wrong with it. Something's out of register. Something's off on it. Not played it yet, but waiting for the group to play it in. It is by the guy who did A Billion Suns and Pacific Command. Yeah, I never heard of Billion Suns. Pacific Command. Don played it, and one of you guys told me about it that you guys really didn't like it. And if look at that, got a shattered piece of the star. And if you didn't like it, I probably wouldn't either. Yeah, I just don't have the. Well, I guess we won't use these decals. We'll use the other ones. And if not, we'll just punt on this thing and do something else. I got this, like I said, it may have been sitting in somebody's garage for a long time and got dry rotten or something. Which means these will have to come off too. Oh, it won't come off. They literally just ripped off. That's not a good sign for this thing. It's funny how they left a shadow here of the star. You know, if you're going to buy stuff, you need to build something with it. Just don't sit in some garage or whatever. And one of the guys at the hobby club, he swears that, oh yeah, if you just cover them with a clear coat. I did that with one, and it didn't work. I must not have been holding my mouth right. Tell you what we're going to do. Because we need some positivity. I didn't come here to have negative results on this shit. You little commie bastard are going to be put away. Okay? We'll come back to you at some later point. Maybe we'll pick up some decals at the model show. Let's get the Spitfire out here. Hopefully its decals are handy. I need to get this stuff off my work area. Alright, Spitfire is... Is it this one? No, this is the one for the walrus. Okay. It even says walrus on it. Here's the Spitfire. And these decals, we got them from Amazon. So they shouldn't be. Holy smokes, there's a lot of little decals on here. Well, I don't know if I'm going to put all those on there. That's out of control. That's a bit excessive. So you've never played Gaslands, but you have the rules. You're one of them rule collectors, aren't you? We played it probably 6 or 7 times. We played it 6 or 7 times. And, actually, before I do this, we'll do this first. If this can go sideways, then we're going to stop. We're going to go back to building barriers or some shit like that. I just want to do some kind of hobby and exactly what. You know what? Fuck this. Let's have some poly. Let's work on some barriers. We got to do it anyways. All because I couldn't find the tubes. Oh, we'll find them. They're here somewhere. I literally just picked this room up not that long ago. And that's what it was. I moved them from a place where I knew where they were. And now they're probably in a better place. If I would have just told myself where that place was, that would have come in handy. So anyways, we're repainting the yellow. It looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. So let's do another. Yeah, it plays okay. I mean, it's how you manage those dice is really what the game's about, and that part of the game works really well. Really, really well. There's some other things that we don't love. I was gonna say I don't love, but it's not like there's things that I like in it that I don't like in it that other people do. It's kind of like we're all on the same page. So I want to have one of those things where it's like, oh, Tony don't want to play it this way or whatever. You know, it just. But Scott was actually the one that was looking at the rules more than anything else. He was kind of taking the front row seat on that and figuring out the rules. But which ones are these? We need the super readers on. We've played with one car for people. We played with multiple cars for people. I know that when I play, I actually try to drive and shoot people as a secondary thing because it is a race. Now, we've only played the one where you try to get through the gates. There's apparently all kinds of different ways to play it, including even one with zombies and shit like that, running over zombies. But we've only really played the gate race, and you got to go through the first gate before your weapons are activated. You know, otherwise people would just start shooting each other in the first one. And I won the first time we played because I actually tried to drive. You can't crash fast enough to win is what we used to say. I'm going to live life on the edge and we'll try to do 2 of these at once. There's a total of 20 of them, so I got plenty of them to mess around with. And I'm pretty sure I used black spray paint to prime these up, but... And I actually bought, and I think the company's out of business. I bought a mat, a play mat for this. I believe it's 4 foot by 4 foot, and it is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. It's neoprene. It's a mouse pad. It's basically a 4 foot by 4 foot mouse pad, and it's beautiful. And it's like a warehouse, like an industrial warehouse. Looks like something to be like maybe on a spaceship or something like that mechs would like be stored in or something like that. That's kind of the look that it has. It's an arena, and it's absolutely beautiful. I've taken photographs of my cars sitting on it, and it looks. I wouldn't be able to paint it that well. Very, very impressive. I don't remember who makes it. It's not Tiny Miniature War Games or whatever. Tiny War Games UK or whatever the hell it was. I did not have an issue getting it, but I've never used it, actually. We played with a bunch of DBA mats. Played with a bunch of 30-inch DBA mats. I think 4 of them. We made a battlefield but we made a course and stuff with that. Let's keep going. We already get this color out here. We got the gates out in the garage. They are not primed. You know, and the fact that you got something like this, like, oh, there's a little bit of black showing, who cares? Move on. But the game, what's really good is the way that the dice mechanic, because every turn you have something to think about. You know, there's a push your luck mechanic in the game. There's a lot of things that work really well in it. I just don't really like the whole team choices, but you could use the same if you like the way the teams are. All you gotta do is just rename them. Call them something different. That's the easiest thing, but we haven't really played with teams, sponsors or whatever. This is made by one of these Friends of Gaslands. I don't know if they still do that. I've been out of touch with the community in a long time. Last time I was messing with this stuff was, it was pre-COVID. Was it? Yeah, it was pre-COVID. It was a different world back then, so who knows what it is now. But I even unsubscribed from the Facebook site and everything. It's just getting too much junk mail, too many notifications of stuff on that, and I wasn't really playing the game. And four's good. Four's good. All right, next color. This definitely looks like concrete. It's got a little bit of brown in it. It's a brown-based gray, as I like to say. This is the last one we painted. All right, let's not do that one then. First. I really do like the MDF material. It just absorbs paint like crazy though. Let's see if we can glue that back together with something. But if you're changing the rules and you're not really playing the rules as they're intended, you really shouldn't call it that. I said I agree. I'm not going to call it Gaslands. I'll call it something else. But I hadn't played since they added jumps and stuff like that. I got that new rule book, but it had just come out, and I don't think we played it once since then. I think I had epoxy this thing together, not to mention it. I said it yesterday. or this morning. I think I epoxied it. I'm not 100% sure, but a lot of people don't like epoxy. I didn't like epoxy in the 1980s. 1980s epoxy didn't work worth a shit. I mean, craft paint is plenty good to do this. No, I made some coffee and I'm still fading. I woke up later than I ever do, really. So nice. And just so you know, I don't have the blues yet. This week shouldn't be too bad. Next week's gonna suck ass, but this week shouldn't be too bad. Let me do the back of this thing. So. What if you have a rule set you don't really like? Do you still keep it? I just have trouble finding the interest to actually read the rules. You know, I'd rather like, okay, let's figure out the rules and with somebody, right? Instead of like, let me figure them out while somebody's not doing anything. Like, I need some help, man. I need some companionship while I'm trying to learn these rules. And somebody else is interested in them, other than just myself. And we'll probably paint these in these support beams, probably some kind of dark brown or something like that, and weather from there. Now, earlier today, I don't know if it was before I got on online today or something like that. I did my daily dose of War Thunder, and I ended up pulling out a certain plane because it was useful in some kind of a grind that you got to do until the end of the weekend. And the plane is an IL 237, so it's a a Sturmovik with 237 millimeter cannons, one under each wing. It's kind of like the Stuka G2 or that had that. Except there's a lot of ammo for these things. And I didn't really realize that that's what it was equipped with until I opened fire on somebody. It was like, holy smokes, like boom, 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 boom. Like, man, really, really obvious what you're doing when those guys open up. Okay. Get back to this one. We did not. It's like the most haphazard thing I've painted in a long time, and I'm telling you, it's going to turn out really good. Pretty comfortable in my technique. Yeah, this one looks really good. Some of these, for whatever reason, are front heavy. You read through the rules and play solo to understand them. Yeah, I'd do that, but I need you guys. You guys got to be around, man. I got to have somebody that I'm talking to. I'll be right back. Yeah, and the same thing for, I've got 2 Osprey set of rules. That's one of them. And the other one is the Lion Rampant. Lion Rampant, I feel like you'd have to do a lot less modification. The Lion Rampant's pretty damn decent as a core thing. It's easy enough to, oh, those look very different from each other. That's how concrete is. I know what concrete looks like. I know that on a personal basis every freaking day. So, yeah, Lion Rampant's actually pretty decent, but those rule books are too beautiful. They're too nice to use. I got the original Gaslands in the little paperback form. We played that. Scott offered to buy it from me because he was the one that was running the game anyways, or he was basically the main guy. And then he left. I'm not sure who got his set of rules. I don't know if he kept it but he highlighted all the rules and like, that's a no. I can't highlight in a book. That's sacrilege. I can't write in books. When I was in high school, I'd take my bike to the University of Florida library. Of course, I can't check anything out. But I'd go out there and look at the books, and they had reference books that it was before Amazon. You couldn't buy that kind of stuff before. You'd have to go to like Naval Institute Press or something like that, and they had all kinds of like books that you could like extrapolate scenarios and things from. And at the University of Florida libraries, and like stuff like I was wanted to look for like convoy actions in the Mediterranean or something like that. And I kept coming across these books where someone, I don't know who this person was. They were into the same stuff I was into, so they would write in the books in pen and pencil. They had a very peculiar handwriting, this peculiar print. It wasn't bad. But they'd write notes when something in the book was wrong. Like maybe they would they'd do the wrong shit. They were basically proofreading the book or whatever. And I mean, every book might have, 400 pages. It might have, I don't know, 10, 12, 16 notations like this. And I kept coming across this guy, whoever it was. I assume it was a guy because it was, it was naval warfare at the time. That's what it was. And it was the same guy, had the same handwriting in there. He had gone through those books before and corrected them. But like, I actually have a book. I don't care who owns the book. I can't write the book. It's just like, I don't know. I have a problem with that. And a lot of people don't, but even in school and stuff, I couldn't write a book. Just seems wrong on so many levels. I kind of like how these turned out, or turning out. Considering how rudimentary I'm going about it. Well, I'm just going about it how anybody else would have. Not spend decades on one thing. Alright. Let's keep going. Let's do another 4. I don't want to play with these not painted. This cheap ass craft paint. At one time I thought, well, I got an airbrush, I could probably do weathering with an airbrush. That's just too much of a pain in the butt. I got a lot more control over the environment like this. Airbrushing doesn't really come naturally to me. I can do it, but it's not my thing really. Weird saying that, but it's true. Now for priming and stuff, yeah, we're not going to use rattle cans. We're not going to hand paint them. If we're doing figures, I mean, yeah, I don't mind hand painting the primer on them, but of course not. There we go. I tightened up this chair a little bit. It's certainly squeaking a lot less. There used to be all kinds of Gasland stuff on there. I don't know if it's still on YouTube, but I haven't looked at it in a while. I know there's a lot of activity on the Facebook group, but I left it a long time ago. I was just getting bombarded with so many things on there, and honestly, the group was pretty freaking woke back then. I was like, these people that just, I don't care what side of the aisle you are, but man, if you can't just laugh about stuff, I don't really want to be in that kind of environment where you might get offended by somebody. I'm like, well, sorry, that's what I like. I like having fun when I'm playing games. I don't mean anything ill will towards anybody, but we make fun of everything, just about everything. Okay. When I'm finished doing the striping on these, I'm wondering if I'm still going to have the same opinion that I like how it looks, because they're looking pretty irregular, but I can tell you, you make a bunch of things of concrete, you make 12 of them, they're all going to look different. The finish on them, it's all over the place. Okay, we got all the base colors on there. Okay, now we're going to do this brownish type concrete color. This gray that has a little bit of brown in it. Pewter gray. That's the good thing about dry brushing is you pretty much don't need to take a break. You can pretty much go, 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 go. And how many does that leave? 1, 2, 3, 4. Another batch. Yeah, we're just gonna knock all these out. I don't really want to play without this stuff looking proper. What's up, Tritarch? Went from trees to structures now. Yeah, working on a little Car Wars stuff a little bit now, which the trees are for. You know, that was one of the reasons I wanted to do the trees, is because you can do all kinds of different shit. And if I end up pivoting and going to back to dinosaurs, be useful for that too. Yep, a little bit of everything. Same scale though. I think that's important, you know. And people do the same thing. I'm sure people that are big into 28s, they'll do fantasy, science fiction, I'm sure. I can tell you, somebody who needs to put things away, man, going to a bigger scale is not the solution. Unless you're gonna play with very few things. Do I have a tow truck? I can't remember if I have a tow truck or not. I don't think I do. This is why you like smaller scales? Don't take up a lot of space. Well, you can't really do a smaller scale in this. I mean, I guess you could play with micro machines, but shit, well, that's probably exaggerated 6mm or something like that. A bit fiddly. You know, I don't mind the micro armor size, but the infantry they're boring as hell. They don't have enough personality. Working on dyeing some bricks and pieces of wood. So I guess that dyeing thing is working, huh? I stumbled across that. And it worked surprisingly well. Because I ended up getting all those bricks. I got like those 30,000 bricks or however many bricks I got. And I'm like, man, these things are not the right color. We can't, they look like, they're almost like rose colored. You regret you losing your micro machines. You can still get them. That's a pretty cool toy, wasn't it? I regret not having my Stomper tanks. You may not be old enough to remember. You might be not be old enough to remember Stompers, but back when you had stuff that was like, it was powered by batteries, but you still had to use your imagination, kind of stuff. Yeah, I really like those Stomper tanks. Those are really cool. You still get those, but who knows if they even work. And they go for, or somebody's trying to sell them for a pretty penny. Not that they go for that. You put whatever price on it. It's like, you could, sell a used car for $1 million. You put it for sale. Hey, it goes for $1 million. Have you sold one? No. All right, well, it's not going for anything. Nobody's buying them. You had a big box of them, and they got thrown away when I moved out of the house. Oh, really? She didn't donate them to anybody? You go after your mom. Mom, you freaking ruined me. She'd make up some story about how they're worth this X amount of money, and she could have retired. She just kept them. Make her feel bad over it. There's some toys that are, trash. There's some toys that are, really well made. I think Micro Machines was really, really cool. I mean, it had little sets. They'd fold up, and you could put all the cars inside, and then you unfold them, and you connect them to each other. I always wanted. It sounds like something so basic, but I never had one. Those like kids like rugs for the room, right? And on the kids' rugs, it would have like maybe like a city with like city streets, and there would be like these buildings. They would be there, but they would be completely flat. Never had one of those. Always wanted one of those. She was going through a I'm throwing everything away phase. Just tell her you're gonna pay her back when she's gone. Throw all your shit away. Collection of trinkets and crap. Yeah, I don't like to throw things away. I assign sentimental value to things. I'm particularly soft about, and I saw a post about this the other day on Facebook, and it really got to me. And stuffed animals, and no, I don't have any, but I did as a kid, and I have a feeling it's because I suspect. Let me do a self-examination. I suspect it's probably because my mom passed away, and it's probably a leftover of that. So when I was a kid growing up, 5, 6 years old, I had a lot of stuffed animals. Not like kids do now, but I probably had 12 or something like that. And I kind of instilled that in my daughter. I mean, there's ones that I have that are like, they're memorable. Like I'd watch a movie. There's a movie that I saw, and there was a stuffed animal in it. Before she was born, I got it for her, and stuff like that. I'm very sentimentally attached to those type of things. There's a flamingo up here that I got when we went to this theme park, and when she was 10 years old, and we lost it. It got misplaced somehow in one of the hotel rooms or something like that. And I think for my birthday last year, she found one on eBay and bought it for me. So it sits here, But anyways, so there was this post about people throwing things away in the garbage. There was a dumpster where there was a garbage truck that they were throwing away a Winnie the Pooh. Now, I don't have anything against Winnie the Pooh, but they had thrown this Winnie the Pooh away, and then one of the garbage guys actually saved it. Of course, he's all dirty, and he's, all kinds of stuff. Winnie the Pooh about this big. And he stuck it on the garbage truck like he was going to take off with it. It was just like, who would throw away a stuffed animal, man? Because I'm telling you that stuffed animals are a comfort device for kids. You know, I'm sure that if they have some kind of traumatic thing, it brings some sense of like peace. And you can't throw shit like that away. I mean, it's just like it's just wrong, you know. But anyhow, so there's some things that are sentimental value that I would never get rid of. You know, one of the things I really dislike is, and I'm sure you guys have this as well. You have somebody that's a family member, and maybe they go on some trip, and they bring you something back from a trip you didn't go on, and somehow you're supposed to have sentimental value of that. You know, you go somewhere and you go to, say, Costa Rica or something like that, and you're in Costa Rica on a cruise or whatever, and you stop, and cruises even go to Costa Rica? Anyways, regardless, and you stop there and you pick up some trinket that reminds you of, you know, maybe a sea turtle or something that you saw there while you were there. You have a sentimental value to it. But I don't want to collect things that somebody else brought me back from a trip that's memories that I didn't have. I don't know if I worded that properly, but, you know, and my mom, for instance, she has all kinds of stuff that people have brought her back from different places, and they consume her entire house. You know, like she'll be like, you know, she's never been to Israel, okay, but she has people that have been to Israel and brought her things back because she has them in her house. Well, you've never been to Israel. You're never going to go to Israel for, you know, it's just damn far away, and you know, so you've got these things that are consuming all kinds of space and trinkets and stuff in your house, and it's just like, man, I don't want that. It's very different than, like, you know, if you go on a trip somewhere like to Spain, which I don't think we even got anything back from Spain, and you bring back from Spain that we got on our trip that reminds us of the memories that, you know, of that. But, you know, I don't want, I'm not going to have a memory about a trip I didn't go on. Does that make any sense? And I don't know if there's people like that, but my mom's house is consumed by that stuff. I mean, she has all kinds of stuff from places that she's never been. Yeah, I don't want that kind of a house, you know. You can collect too much shit. It's different, like, you know, having sentimental things that you put in a box and you're never going to get rid of that box, right? And it's small, but not like all over your house, pasted. Like, you can't find things because there's 4 things in the way, and, you know, that kind of stuff. If your family goes abroad, ask for a rock. Okay. You have someone from a Roman siege in Israel, a castle in Scotland, and a rock from New Mexico's abandoned Native American settlement. I want a rock, and don't tell anybody you took one, because I'm sure they can't take a rock from it. Yeah, I don't want something from somebody else's trip. It doesn't evoke any memories. Like, oh, this is cool. You got this when you were in Scotland. Cool. This reminds me of the time I was sitting around waiting for you to come back. I mean, like, there's no memory that goes with that. So what we end up doing a lot is, like, when we go on trips, we bring back Christmas ornaments. So our Christmas tree doesn't have any ornaments that are just like, okay, a bunch of like blue balls or something like that. Yeah, I went there. You know, it just has, you know, this that we got at this place, this we got at this place, this, you know, so it's a smorgasbord, but, you know, it invokes memories, you know, when we put that up. You want to rock. Yeah, you're not supposed to. It didn't hurt anything because, you know, if everybody did that, you know, if everybody did that, there'd still be rocks in New Mexico, okay? It's not like all of a sudden there's a big hole in the ground because everybody took all the rocks. Twisted Sister. What a fucking joke. Looks like a bird came down there with pigeon droppings. It's gonna look the part, you know. Anyways, this is just mindless enough. You know, different layers of dry brushing. The colors need to be different enough from each other that when you put them on here, you can tell them if the shades are too close to each other, you're doing a lot of work and you're not getting anywhere. And if they're too varied, that's also bad. And some in between type of thing. Can't believe I don't know where the hell those tubes are. They're here somewhere. I did it to myself. There was one day a couple weeks ago where like people were gonna. I needed to pick up my room, and I'm like, well, since I'm picking up my room anyways, let's provide some use for me. Let's kind of condense it where everything is. That was a mistake. Should have told myself where I put things. Did I lose one? There were 4 here a second ago. Yeah, they're different enough, but they're also not different enough. Well, do all face the same way? I think they do. They just end up being on different parts of the barrier walls. They've added all kinds of stuff to the rules that we hadn't played before. Like I think they have figure eights. But I remember when we used to play, man, Luke. You know, Luke would drive so bad. You know, this is a combat game, but Luke would drive so bad. I always joked to him, I was like, man, they should, if the cops see you, they should take your driver's license, your driver's privilege away. You know, trying to go too fast around turns and stuff like that. You know, you can't crash fast enough to win. And one of the other guys that we played with, I forget who it was, he'd like to crash into people. I want to avoid stuff, man. I want to outrace everybody, and then if you get a shot at somebody, you get to shoot at them. But the game is balanced by the board being somewhat limited in size. You know, it's got enough turns that you can't just take the fastest car and just leave everybody in the dust. Because you're going to have to slow down. You're going to have to downshift for the turns. No, this is going really well. Yeah, I needed to get that whole decal thing out of my system. I'm like, all right, let's work on the decals. I'm like, oh, that went south. Okay, let's downshift to go to something else. Okay, so I fed you 4 here. How many does that leave me with? 6. All right, so I'm going to do 5. That way we'll do 5 and then 5 again. All right, the Hoffman. We'll come back. I was very disappointed to find out I didn't have any Japanese cars. But I don't know that I don't know that they're gonna be teams, but I do want to set a set of British cars. We got those here. German, Japanese, but I don't think I'm gonna get any more until we put a dent on what I have, because I don't dislike what I have. So it's not like I gotta get new ones. These ones I hate them. This has got a lot of build up here, so we're gonna move on to a different brush, and all that'll come out. But here we go. Let's start fresh with this. That dry paint will get in between the bristles, and it won't be able to close up properly. Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, even if there's something stupid like this. It doesn't look like much, but these are going to end up looking pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Pretty, outstanding. That's not the word I'm looking for either, but you know, the fact that I could paint something 6 years ago, and as long as I know kind of what colors I used, I could replicate one and it looks like I painted it at the same time. That's comforting. I can't always do that, but I got a pretty good track record. It's like, you know what colors it's not, you know, and I don't have that many colors. And I remember the pavement was one of them, but and then you couldn't get these colors because there was a run on craft paint when the whole COVID thing went down. All kinds of people decided they were going to get crafty when they couldn't leave the house. And it's like, wait a second, we get first dibs, man. We're crafty people first. We're crafty people all the time. But this is the cheapest paint that I have. And it's also the only paint that's made in the United States, so. That whole they can't make cheap things here in the US is bullshit. They can if they want to. Stuff's made in Georgia, I think. Apple Barrel, Norcross? I think it's Norcross, Georgia. Yep, Norcross, Georgia. It's near Atlanta, I think. Something like that. Now, there's no stainings on these that are finished, and by the time I'm done, I am going to put some stains on them, like where a little bit of rust comes through, like, you know, they got rebar and stuff like that, reinforcing these things. Yeah, sometimes you know too much about concrete, but not a lot, just some. Make them even more varied from each other. And we've got the gates. We have the whole gate. We'll have to I may airbrush those. That's a lot of painting. I mean, these are smooth surfaces, but those are really unsmooth lattice type, metal lattice looking things. Although I'm not very happy with the gate signs, because they're all made out of MDF, but on top of them there's like these little signs that are made of like clear red. You can't really see it because it's, you know, it's not like it's illuminated from the back, but just in clear red. And it says, like, I think one of them says start, one may say finish, and there's like a 1, 2, and a 3 or something like that. So you can basically have like 4 gates to go through them. But I have a feeling I'm probably going to redo the gate signs. They're not stuck to them or anything. They're removable, but some of those extra bits of cork and stuff like that would probably be useful to throw around the battlefield and have some scatter terrain just for looks. We're going to make this look good, or we're not going to do it. So and like I said, they didn't have rules for jumps and stuff like that the last time we played, and they've added so much to it. Well, I haven't seen the last 4 years what they've added to it, but they had added jumps and that kind of stuff. I remember there was one guy that had made a course, and it was like a crashed F-15. I'm pretty sure it was an F-15 that was crashed, and it was kind of on its side, and one of the wings was like buried in the dirt. You know, it was like in the gravel or whatever. You know, you could see the cockpit, or you could see like one of the wings. It was an F-15 wing, and you know the wing's about so big, and they had it positioned in a way, and you know they had it on a template, kind of the way I have the wreck of the Messerschmitt, and it was, you know, so it was a crashed F-15, and they had markings on it like arrows, like go this way, like this is the way the course goes, painted on the wing. So the whole purpose of the wing was to use it as a ramp to go somewhere else on the course. It was like a jump, and it was the wing of the F-15. That's pretty cool, you know. So, I got a couple weeks. I got a couple weeks till the convention in Orlando, and then 2 weeks after that, there's the model convention also in Orlando. And they're always in these model conventions. They have like, hey, buy some beat up models. I'm like, that's what you want a beat up model for. Like, buy some jet and use it as a freaking scatter terrain for this, hell on earth. I'd call it, what was the name? Carmageddon. There was a game called Carmageddon. I never played it, but that's a great name. But yeah, got to come up with another name for it. But it'll be, Gaslands and everything but name. And, make any alternative changes that we feel like we want to make. But the main meat and potatoes of the game is works pretty well. Boy, I'm really turning into a hell of a chimney sweep, aren't I? Chimney sweep treatment. Well, we've played the core game probably 6 or 7 times, maybe 5. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of laughter, that's for sure. So we certainly need more of that, not less of that. And last week we ended up playing a big game of History of the World, and I didn't realize that was a lot of people's favorite game. We had a really good time playing that. And that's a relatively simple game. Man, it's time change when it happens. I think a couple months, maybe a month and a half or something like that. I think it's the beginning of November. That's going to be hell on me. That's one thing I'm enjoying less and less every year is whenever they do that change. I like the cooler weather, but as much as I like cool weather, I'd almost rather it just be hot as F all year round than have these nights where it's like you get home and it's dark. I am not a fan of that. Don't get me wrong, I love it getting cold, but man, that time change is just brutal. It's depressing. And it's not that severe here. Be right back. I'm gonna use a little. Whoop, I'm gonna use a little voice room. I was falling asleep there a little bit, but we're able to turn that shit around. And this doesn't really have that much caffeine in it, but anyhow, so yeah, I don't know about teams, but there's definitely going to be some theme type of cars, and they might be at odds with each other, you know, but you know, Mexican lowriders or whatever. I don't know if Tritarch's still on here, but definitely have one called La Chancla. Have to be one, maybe that lowrider truck or whatever. It's shaped like a flip flop. I better stop talking about that. I don't have to speed up for that. Where is that thing? It's a cool truck. Yeah, it is. What is this, a Torino? Ford Ranchero, 72 Ford Ranchero. Yeah. It's a cool looking vehicle. But this has got to be, it's got to be stripped down. I don't know. Maybe by the time I realize this, I'm like, man, I'm doing a whole lot of work just to strip it down. But, because it is a lot of work. You got to be patient. But this is just asking for somebody to be back here with some pintle mount machine gun. La chancla. I like a theme more of like post-apocalyptic gangs or something like that, more than just like, hey, we're gonna have this race and people are watching from Mars. I'm like, all right, put the dude down. Not really my shtick. So I did finally sign up to play in the convention that's coming up. And I basically just go to these things to hang out now. I'm not running anything. And most of the stuff that I'm running, believe it or not, not running. Most of the stuff that I'm playing, or at least I'm signed up to play, maybe I actually won't like it. Now, I've played the game before and it surprised me, but there's, I think, a new edition of it. And I don't think I'm going to get tempted to, like, buy into it or something like that. Oh, this thing just took a... This chair is dying. I've sat on it for too long, and I think it just... It can't handle me anymore. But one of the games that I'm signed up to play is Hero Quest. I think I signed up for 3 of them. So hopefully it's pretty cool. And hopefully the people that are playing it can handle the way I am and not be too, like, weenie about, like, you guys making fun of everything. I mean, I play serious, but man, when funny shit happens, man, I like to laugh about it. Maybe I'll go there and put some hair on some of those people's chest by playing the game, but I've played the game one time and really enjoyed it. And yeah, it's super simple, but it's a fun game. And I just looked at it and I'm like, I don't want to play I don't want to play some of these simulation games I'm never going to get into. You play a game in a 4-hour session, and the first hour and a half is people explaining the rules to you, and it's a rule system you're never going to play again. That's like a waste of my time. Waste of their time, too, explaining it to me. I guess the internet's working okay today. It's just a fluke that was it yesterday morning? Yesterday morning was just all acting all wonky. We did not do this to this one. It doesn't look like it. And this is just with 3 colors of dry brush. It's usually the more you use, the better off you are. And some of this MDF is pretty grainy. This particular one is really smooth. Like if this was made of plastic, I don't know if it'd be any smoother. Last tone here. What we got there? All of a sudden, Google Pictures are having a woody about looking back on. I never get those notifications. All of a sudden, like every day, there's like, hey, back a year ago, this is what you were doing. And I'm like, why all of a sudden the interest? The only problem is now I've got all kinds of other things to watch on my YouTube suggestions. Not that I'm going to watch any of them, but I've got like Hot Wheels unboxings and stuff like that. I just enjoy being able to look at different things. I mean, I'm gonna act on any of it, but we're using stuff that we've had a long time. Talk about mindless. This would be perfect for me to like watch TV at the same time, but I can't do it. I can't watch television and do this kind of stuff. I don't care how mindless it is. I'll be like looking at the TV and paint will dry. I wouldn't get anything done. You killed this? Yeah, we nearly killed it. No, let me stop just before it's time to get to the yellow. Yeah, honestly, this looks like crap. I had not had confidence that this will turn out good when I'm done with it. I'd be like, man, this looks like garbage. And actually may come in and paint the center one in black so it pops a little bit more. I may do that. I don't know if I am going to do it. But I may do that. And I said I don't know who the hell makes this. It says on the packaging, but I don't. That's not who sold it to me. Death Racing Apocalyptic Car Accessories. Friends of Gaslands. Death Racing Apocalyptic Car Accessory. I don't know if Death Racing is the name of the company. Course Delineation Barrier Set. Well, that's a long-winded way of saying that. It's the course delineation. Oh, yes. Very nice, then. Oh, hold on 1 second. All right. Oh, there we go. Maybe we'll just finish these up. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but man, you look at this like, man, this was kind of like shit. I said, yeah, but when we're done with it, it won't. Yeah, and they'll match the floor pretty well. The ground that you play in. Is there another set of 5? Yeah, there's another set of 5. 20. And the cool thing I really want to look forward to is you doing the stains on them. Matter of fact, any water in here? I do. Okay. Man, I love doing these little rusty drippings. Well, what we need to do is where is wow, why can't I find it? Should be right here. Front and center. Yeah, some spots like that. Just a little bit of. Oh, it's gonna be fun. I haven't done any of that on any vehicles. But all the dripping stuff is post getting into this stuff. So. All right. I brought these up. And the nice thing about them, you can roughhouse these things quite a bit and be all right. Especially if they're not finished. We get these guys at least to the, if we don't do the yellow, at least we've done all the core colors of the paint. think for this in the back, we're going to use a really dark brown and paint that and start adding rust kind of stuff to it. That's probably the same color that we're going to use the gates. The gates are just like this lattice work of this all over it. And I think that'll look the part. Actually, they're not even primed in black, so we'll prime them in black, and then we'll add the dark brown. I don't know if I don't know if I got dark enough brown here to use for them. Yeah, we'll do a little piece of one, see if we like how it turns out before we go hog wild to do them all in a way that I'm gonna have to come back and fix them. We don't want to do that. That's a waste of time. Okay. Man, everybody just died down, whatever. Two more in the basic color. Just when I thought I was never going to get around to doing this. Joke's on me. They're MDF. Yeah, they're really smooth MDF too. Because sometimes I feel like some MDF can be like really grainy, but man, by and large, these guys are just this really smooth MDF. And normally I'd be like, man, this is not looking very good. But that's why I like to finish one all the way through. And it's still not finished all the way through, but we're definitely on the right track. But I definitely want teams based on the vehicles that they're based on. So, you know, Japanese guys ride Japanese vehicles. You know, rednecks ride redneck trucks. British drive British vehicles. Germans, you know, drive German stuff. You know, that kind of shit. It's just part of the, well, just how I think it ought to be. Is this the one I just did? No, that's the new one. This stuff dries really, really fast, but well, falling down on the job. A couple of these are kind of front heavy. Like they naturally want to like fall forward. And I don't understand why. but might have to put a weight on them or something. But yeah, the finish on this is really good. It's not. Sometimes you get some MDF and it's got some furry bits. You know what I'm talking about. A little rough cut or something like that. Not these. These are pretty well done. And they don't smell like MDF anymore. Now they're going to smell like craft paint. That little burnt MDF smell is. Okay, and then the last color, and then we're going to stop. Because we've been on here, shit, almost 3 hours. Now, I wanted to make some headway on it. I think we did that. Whoa, too bright. Hello. Four more of these things. I mean, I could spend a lot of time painting one of these, but at some point I gotta take some shortcuts. And you can pretty much go hog wild and use as much of this paint as you want. It's pretty inexpensive. And the last one here. Yeah, they look good. I thank you, but they look good because I finished one of them. Because I'm looking at this and I'd be like, I wouldn't be happy with these. If I just stopped here, I'm like, I don't know if I'm on the right track. That's what, you got to keep your own personal morale up. 'Cause you're like, man, well, as soon as I find out that I'm like wasting my time or things aren't gonna, I'm not gonna be happy with it. I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, Uncle, I want out. I want out of this. But I don't even know which is the one I did first or which was the one I just recently did. I think this is the original one. Yeah, no, it's gonna look pretty good, and we're not done with them yet. I'm not. I don't think I'm gonna buy any more. So I think just come in with a medium-sized brush, come in and paint this. Do some black lining here on the gap here in the back. You know, just a little bit of stuff to enhance it, and I think it'll reward you. It'll be pretty rewarding. Um, Yeah, I know one thing for sure. Those explosion markers are perfect for this game. If somebody blow up and put one of those on there. So I think this is one of those games where if there's a wreck, it stays on for a certain amount of time, and you could like run into it and shit like that. So that's like perfect for that kind of stuff. When I'm on the train, I always get worried I go too light. Yeah, the problem is that you know my light is unnaturally bright here. You go anywhere else and why does your stuff look so dark? I said, because we're playing in a freaking cave. That's why. All right, well, that's where we're going to cut off here for today. So appreciate you guys hanging out with me. We'll probably, well, I don't know what we're going to hit next time. Probably, I should do the striping next. But yeah, we'll see you guys on the flip side. Thanks for stopping by.